Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Acting Sergeant Good with the Ontario Provincial Police. I'm here today to tell you a little bit about the IP or the OPP, why I chose the OPP, and a little bit about the North. So I'm located in the East Algoma Thessalon OPP detachment, and I want to thank everyone today for joining me. Some of the reasons why I chose the OPP is because, of course, I wanted to stay in Northern Ontario, and that was a big deal to me. So when I was growing up, I grew up in Southern Ontario. I didn't really know about the OPP because they were strictly on the highway, and we had municipal police forces in the area that I grew up. But fast forward to going to university in Northern Ontario and learning about the OPP and how it polices smaller communities in the North, it kind of sparked an interest for me. So I applied to the OPP because it was in the area where I wanted to end up living, where my partner was from. So that's why I chose it. Some of the other reasons why I chose it, of course, it's competitive salary. So the minute that you get hired by the OPP, you are getting paid. So while you were training at the Ontario Police College and the Provincial Police Academy, you are getting paid. So the recruit constable salary is just above $65,000. So that's while you're training. When you graduate the Provincial Police Academy and OPC and you become a probationary constable, your salary bumps up again to just over $83,000. And then once you've completed all of the different classes up to first class, you're going to make over $119,000. So it's a very competitive salary, very competitive compared to the other police services in Ontario. The other great thing is the OPP provides many benefits, including a great pension. So sometimes working in the private sector or in other jobs, you don't have a pension that you are saving towards. So with the OPP, it automatically comes out of your pay. You're not having to put it into a bank account or anything like that. They're automatically saving for your retirement. So the other things the OPP has is very great support services. We've got a healthy workplace team that provides 24/7 support to our officers. They come in our detachments. They help with debriefings when you have or go to some serious calls that you might need some assistance with after the fact. They help find you services that you may need, like psychological services in your community, online or in person, and they can get those resources for you, as well as they also provide physical health supports, such as if you or your family members need help with a nutrition plan, something like that, they will help you with that. So let's go back to some other benefits that the OPP has. So they do provide you with paid vacation leave as well as paid sick leave. So you are paid a certain amount of sick days, which is great, of course. And I believe sick time, you get 6 days, 8-hour days paid at full. And then after that, 124 days of 75% of your pay, whatever you were at that time. So another thing that is very important, especially if you've got a family or a partner, is that the OPP does provide a drug plan. So that would be for prescription drugs. If you need to get dental, vision, hearing, any kind of benefits like that, if you need to get any services done, going to the dentist, things like that are paid for. And you do receive a card for that too, with a plan for you and any dependents that are living at your residence under 21. And then if you've got children that are still living at your home and they're a little older than 21, as long as you can prove they're still in school and living under your home, then they are covered as well. So there's some great benefits to working with the OPP. Another great thing that I love is that there's opportunities to move throughout the province. So if you have a family member that's living in Southern Ontario and you get posted to the North and your family member needs some supports and needs your assistance, you can apply to transfer down to a detachment close to wherever that family member is if they need your assistance. So there's opportunities to move throughout the province. and you just have to apply to transfer to those locations. So on top of that, another thing about Northern Ontario, a great thing about the OPP is that you can police in Northern Ontario in smaller communities. As you know, that the OPP is in a lot of our small communities throughout the province. So you get a real chance to be a part of these communities, to get involved in the communities. People know your name, especially if you police for a long period of time in those communities. You'll notice that people know who you are and that you're the police officer in town. They might know where you live, or if you've got family members, and they'll say, "Oh, your son or daughter, they're a cop," that kind of thing. So you really get involved in your communities. As well, with Northern Ontario, the detachments seem to be a little smaller, depending on where you are. So there's not as many officers. That means there's a lot of opportunities to get specialties, and to get courses that will help you out in the future and will give you opportunities to do pretty awesome things, such as the Canine Emergency Response Team, the Scenes of Crimes Officer opportunities. There's tons of different specialties that are needed throughout the province and throughout different detachments. So you may get opportunities to take the Drug Recognition Officer course, or the Intoxilizer course. So there's tons, the Breath Tech course. There's tons of different opportunities that are provided, especially when you're in a smaller detachment. So again, these are just some of the opportunities and reasons why I chose to go to the OPP. And I'm sure that you have your own reasons why you want to get into policing. Of course, a lot of people, they choose policing because they want to help people and they want to be involved in their community. And that is why I chose policing. But I really am happy with my choice with the Ontario Provincial Police, because I've really gotten to get involved into in the northern communities, and really show that I care about all the members around. So I'll get to some questions that I have here. So somebody's asking if there's any Crown Vics left. I haven't seen any around lately. There were Crown Vics when I first started, and those were the cruisers that we used in Southern Ontario on the highways, and I loved operating them. I haven't seen any recently, but I'm sure there are some somewhere. Ethan Howe. I've completed the inclusion insights, and I'm nearly completed the Be the Bridge challenge. Should I submit these before I submit my application or afterwards? Ethan, thank you for completing these challenges. They provide you with a lot of knowledge that will help you throughout the process, the recruitment process, and you know what, it will help you in the end throughout a policing career with all the knowledge that you've gained. You can add those at the beginning on your application if it lets you. If not, you can always send us an email after you've already submitted your application to opphire@opp.ca with your actual application number. And absolutely, we will add that to your application. But thank you again for completing those. So Andrew Walker has mentioned that law enforcement has been on his mind since high school. He's 36 years old now, or 36 years young now. Maybe it's about time. Andrew, absolutely. 36 is a great age to get involved in law enforcement. Of course, you've finished your schooling. You've been hopefully involved in your community. I don't know where you're at with if you've taken anything after school or been doing volunteering, but I totally suggest getting involved in your community before you apply. But 36 is a great time to apply. Can I get my current pension transferred if I get hired? So it depends on, Jeff, where your pension is. Of course, our pension is the Ontario Pension Board. So I would inquire with your own pension and let them know, if you are successful with the OPP, how it would work when you transfer it in. But those are really important questions to ask beforehand, just to know where you're at. Sometimes it's time for time. Sometimes you have to pay a little or you get a little bit back. I would just inquire with your own pension. So Lizzie Bear is asking what wage you start at when you are a new constable. So the minute that you start or you get hired by us and you are in training, again, like I said, just over $65,000. So that's when you're training. When you are working on the road as a new constable, so that's when you're with your coach officer. You're considered a probationary constable, and that's for your first year of service working on the road with your coach officer. You are getting paid, it's over $83,000 at that time. I think it's $83,926. So that's a large amount to start. And that's, again, after your training is completed and when you're working on the road with your coach officer. And that's for your first year. And then after that, it goes up continuously until your first class. And then after your first class, that's within the first few years of policing, then it will go up every so many years, just because of the contract that we have and because of the years of service that you've worked with the police service. So Jeff mentioned that he submitted his shuttle run video last week and received a pass email. Great job, Jeff. Thank you for following the instructions and getting that done. Congratulations. What is the next step? The interview. Also, when is the September intake full? So yeah, so after you submit your shuttle run video, then somebody will be looking at your application. They will be reviewing everything and kind of doing a background check on you a little bit, and then they will be potentially offering you an interview, a local focus interview. You will receive an email with some information about that if you are successful in getting an interview. And they will book you with a date and time of whenever that would be. And our September intake is not full yet. We are currently building that class. So if you have an interview in the next month or so, you might be able to make that class. I can't guarantee that. It all depends on our process and psychological services, things like that. But we are currently filling the September class right now. Lizzie Bear's asking about full wage. Absolutely. So you start off, I have it right in front of me here, Lizzie Bear. So you start off as your fifth class when you're training, and fourth class when you're in your probationary year. And after that, you move on to third class. So that would be the following year, and then second class, then first class. So within 5 years of being a police officer with the OPP, you reach your first class status, and that's when you would be making your top salary, and that's over $119,000 a year. So somebody's asking about how long is the process. So I don't know what you're referring to. If you're referring to the process with recruitment and the application process, it depends on the person. We say 2 to 4 months by the time you put in your application. Sometimes it can be a little shorter, sometimes a little bit longer, just depends on when you put your application in. So Drew Blake is asking if Northern Detachment fast tracks you when you apply. So, and asking about if you put a Northern Detachment, are there more points in your application process where you can kind of put that down? I think that's what you're asking, Drew. So yeah, if you are looking to go north, we of course have a lot more spots open in Northeast and Northwest. So we will look at your application fairly fast, and we will try to get you into one of the next classes if you're successful throughout the process. The main part where we look to see if you want to go north are the detachment posting selections that you choose. When you apply, there's 6 different detachment postings that you can put down. If you want to go north, put all north. If you're looking to go anywhere, you can put the locations anywhere in the province. That's fine too. And then if you make it to the local focused interview, we will talk to you about why you chose those locations. So you just got to make sure that you articulate yourself and say, I want to go northeast or northwest, or if you're willing to go anywhere, tell us that. And we love to hear people that are willing to go anywhere, because of course we have openings throughout the province. And if you're not picky, then we can probably find you a spot if you're successful in the process. Okay. Do you know the dates for the PPA and OPC class? So the next one will be September 1st. That means you will be going to the Provincial Police Academy September 1st, and starting at the academy, you're there for a week or two, and then you go home and do some online OPC, and then you would start at the Ontario Police College shortly after that. And then after that, you will go back to the Provincial Police Academy, where you will do some training. They will send you back to your detachment posting that you have been hired for, and you will do some training there, and possibly even go back to the Provincial Police Academy after to do a little bit more training after that. And then you are set with your coach officer for the next year, where you will be learning with your coach officer on the job training. Nima, you have an interview scheduled with me in 2 weeks. I look forward to meeting you for sure. I'm glad that I can help you throughout the process, and I'm excited to meet you in person. Slide is moving here pretty fast. Okay, there's somebody from Saskatchewan here, and they're wondering if the application process will be different from them. Absolutely not. Physical test, the VEEP test is the only physical test that you will be completing throughout the application process. You can do that online. We will send you all the instructions. The whole process, start to finish, can be completed online, so don't stress out about being out of province. The only thing that might be different is, of course, you've got a little bit of a time change going out to Saskatchewan, so we will have to contact you to book your interview at a time that works for you. And I know that our time's a little different than yours is. Okay, someone's asking about duration postings. That's a great question. So speaking a little earlier about Northern Ontario being posted in a northern duration posting, they're anywhere from 2 to 5 years. We give you an incentive to go to these northern durations. The 2-year durations, you get $40,000 split between the 2 years, so $20,000 the first year and $20,000 the second year. It's a kind of a lump sum once a year on your anniversary date, and that's just to thank you for coming and policing in these locations. Places like Armstrong, places like Pickle Lake, Moosonee, places like that have the shorter durations. Of course, they don't have as many necessities in those communities. So you're not going to have a Walmart, you're not going to have a Starbucks, things like that. If those are things that you need, maybe stick to the larger communities. But of course, they offer so many great opportunities to advance your career a lot faster, get courses, get into specialties, and do a lot of the investigations start to finish. That's a great thing about the smaller communities that we do police, and the smaller detachments that we have. You do get those opportunities to take the initial call and see the investigation all the way through. And I've seen it working in East Algoma, where an officer that's taken the initial call, that's kind of shown some interest in the crime unit, has been able to actually be taken off the road and work with the crime unit on that case, start to finish. So there's tons of opportunities in these smaller detachments to do things like that, if that's something that you're interested in. So how long do you need to stay in the duration postings? You need to stay there for those specific timeframes that I kind of spoke about. So if you're coming to East Algoma, it's a 5-year duration. You're expected to stay here for that 5-year duration. And of course, there is an incentive to work at these locations that's split amongst those 5 years. But you are expected to stay there for those duration times. And then within 6 months of your duration being completed, you can put in to transfer anywhere in the province, and you will have what we call is a bright, shiny gold ticket to go anywhere in the province. And that duration card will trump anyone that does not have one in a line that's in the line to get to these specific locations. I know a lot of the time, Sault Ste. Marie, Sudbury, Thunder Bay, those are very sought after locations in the north, and a lot of people will do a 2 or 3 year duration posting. Within 6 months of their duration being completed, they will put in for a transfer to those locations, and they will be on a list and just wait until they get called to transfer and to go to those locations to work. So will OPP match my current salary? Well, that's not going to happen unless you're working for the Ontario Public Service, of course. It's wherever you are at in your current salary. If you're from outside the Ontario Public Service, then it's not going to be exactly the same. Everyone starts at the same $65,822. So that's where you will be starting. And then you will, of course, work your way up throughout. Someone's asking about being a permanent resident and how long you have to be one before you apply. Minimum requirements to apply to the OPP are that you either are a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident. Doesn't matter how long you have been one. Of course, we want to know that you are planning to stay in Ontario, and that you're willing to serve your province that you're now living in as a police officer. So if you think you are at your competitive best, absolutely go ahead and apply. There's no time limit or minimum requirement for how long you have to be a permanent resident before you apply. Got somebody asking about the cadet program again. No update yet. Again, I will let you know when I hear, but there is no update yet. They haven't opened up any application or any opportunities to apply online on our portal yet. Okay. Somebody's asking if consumer proposal will disqualify me from the process. I can't let you know what's going to disqualify you from the process. Of course, those are things that we can't disclose, but I can let you know that we want to know that you are financially responsible. That's something that we will be looking at. We will be talking to you about those kinds of things. So that is something that we will look at. But as long as you are honest, open, you tell us exactly what's going on. We are here to listen and hear what's going on, but we will be looking at your finances throughout the process. So Ben is asking about any courses they can take. He says that he has completed several CPKN courses already. That's awesome. You know what? We just want to see that you are willing to continuously learn, whether that's the OPP's challenges, the Be the Bridge or Inclusion Insights. It's awesome you found some CPN courses that you're interested in. That's the Canadian Police Knowledge Network courses. We do see a lot of people that do take those. Some are free, some you have to pay for, some are short, and others are long. So those are great ones to do. Any courses in your community that are offered. Again, we just want to see that you are willing to continuously learn. You're able to continuously learn, because obviously when you go to the Provincial Police Academy and the Ontario Police College, there's a lot of information that you have to learn in a short period of time. We want to make sure that you will be successful. Again, the OPP, they will do what they need to do to assist you. We want you to be successful in the process and to pass OPC and the Provincial Police Academy. So we will do what we need to do to support you through that. But we want to know while you're applying that you will be successful and that you will not have any issues through that learning process. There's some questions I don't really. So Tanvir is mentioning that they completed the psychological interview and written test with another service. Do they need to take the test again with the OPP? Yeah, that absolutely. We will probably talk to the other police service and see where you are at with them. But we might also make you do our own psychological testing as well. Just depends when they look at your application. So you may have to do it again as well with us. So Apples and Oranges is asking about the next class. I don't have an exact date, but I believe it's the beginning of December will be the next class that we'll be going through after September 1st. So the interview, there's a question about the interview. Will it be completed online or in person? Interviews are completed online. So you don't need to stress out again if you're in another province, in another country currently. That's totally fine. As long as you've got a good internet connection, we will do your interview over the internet through Microsoft Teams. So Drew's asking about Big Trout Lake, Fort Severn, and other OPP detachments that are fly-in. Just asking if we work alongside other police services. Absolutely, we do. I've had a great experience going up to Pikanchicum Lake or Pikanchicum First Nation up there, and it was an absolute amazing experience going up there. I worked alongside the First Nations police officers that were working up there. I know that with Big Trout and Wiagamo as well, we also do the same thing. The OPP will fly officers into those communities and they will work alongside the First Nations officers and police forces up there and peacekeepers in the communities just to make sure that they're safe. And we do work hand in hand together, investigating things. So yeah, it's a partnership with these communities and the other police services. Okay, someone's asking about the best way to get housing in remote locations. Does the OPP help when it comes to housing? So that's a great question. A lot of the time in these remote locations, if you're not currently living in these communities, it can be a challenge, especially when they're smaller, to find a place to live. My suggestion is if you are thinking about potentially policing or putting down a detachment in an area that you're unfamiliar with, call that detachment and ask to speak to an officer there that could answer some questions about the detachment, the community, things like that. If there's a housing crisis, I know a lot of small communities, there's a challenge sometimes finding places to rent, apartments or houses. So reach out, do your homework before you say yes to a detachment. Speak to even the detachment commander. Sometimes is willing in smaller detachments to speak to you about places to rent or potential to actually purchase a house in those locations. So reach out. Our detachment commanders, they're here for their members, especially in the smaller communities. They want you to come to their community. They want you to succeed. They want you to stay in their community. So they will do what they need to do to keep you there and to make you feel part of the team. Okay, we've got somebody saying that English is their second language, and what are the language requirements? Obviously, you need to be proficient in speaking, reading, and writing English. It's not a big deal if it's your second language, as long as you're proficient and you have an understanding. You can talk back and forth with the person. You can write it. Of course, with police officers, we are dictating and typing reports on a regular basis, so you have to be able to read and write reports as well. So as long as you're proficient in English, any other language is a benefit. We love to hear that applicants have strengths in other languages and are proficient in other languages, because down the road they can help at calls for service, or they can help with calls for services in other areas if required. So Mackenzie's asking about the psych testing they did for the offender transport, and asking if they have to redo it to become an officer. I don't know if the psychological testing is exactly the same as it would have been for the offender transport unit. So you may have to do part of the psychological testing still, but if it's within a year, you may not have to do all of the tests again. I can't answer that for sure. I'm not too sure if the OTU unit has the same psychological, exactly the same psychological testings as you would take it as a regular recruit. And no, we do not do polygraph as part of the interview process, Tom. How much running is there at OPC? When I was at OPC, there was a lot of running. I've heard that it's toned down a little bit, but there is still some PT that you are expected to do. And of course, there is running at the Provincial Police Academy as well. So make sure that you are able to hit that level 7 in the shuttle run on maybe you're not your best day, maybe in adverse weather conditions. Make sure that you're out there and you're confident that you can hit that level 7 easily. Your 1.5 mile run, have a look at the Ontario police pin test and see where you're at for your 2.4 kilometer run, because you will be expected to complete that at some point during your training. Jeff is asking how long training is for the OPP. Start to finish, approximately 5.5 months of training. And then, of course, you're going to be doing on-the-job training once you are at your detachment with your coach officer. And that is a year from the date that you start working at your detachment, that you start your probationary period with your coach officer. So you will be training every day with your coach officer, learning what to do with certain calls. So just get used to it. The job is continuously changing. There's learning we do online on a regular basis, monthly, daily. So the job is always changing, and get ready to have a career that involves lifelong learning, really. So Swain says they're a member of a Jamaican Constabulary Force 1 year since they've lived in Canada. It's been 1 year since they've lived in Canada. How can they be a part of the OPP? As long as you meet our minimum requirements, have a look at our website, opp.ca/careers. Look up regular recruit if that's something that you're interested in. And you can see all of our minimum requirements: 18 years old, high school diploma or equivalency if you did your schooling overseas. On top of that, permanent resident or Canadian citizen, first aid, CPRC. So there's all these minimum requirements. You also need to have your full G license. And we like to see your community service, things like that you're actively involved in your community. So these are all things that we will be looking at, but there are those minimum requirements that you will have to refer to on our website. And absolutely, if you're interested, apply to our police force. Somebody completed high school in India and they have their diploma certificate from Canada as well. Awesome. Do I need to get my high school transcript evaluated? Yes, we would like you to get your transcript evaluated. So that would mean where it would be, there's a company online that you can send it to, and they will tell us what the equivalency is in Canada. And that would be included in your application. Hey, Mike, I love to hear that your son is in Aurelia currently with the auxiliary program training and doesn't want to come home. That's amazing. It's a great experience. Um, the auxiliary program is like a hidden treasure within the OPP. If you're not sure you want to be a police officer, or if you just want to be involved in your community, maybe you've retired from your job and you want something to do. It's a great way to get involved in your community. It's a great way to get some experience with officers going to calls. It's a great way to see what it's like in a police station and really what's going on and what happens in investigations. Um, Depending on where you're working out of, you can do a lot of community events like parades, like races, do traffic control, things like that. Learn how to operate a police motor vehicle, which is a great skill to have, especially if you are thinking of applying in the future. If you don't think you're quite ready yet, it's a great thing to get involved with and a great way to build your volunteer and community hours on your resume. So Townsend Fitness mentions that they are an older applicant, already established. Um, what are the options if you get placed somewhere remote? So first of all, you get 6 locations, detachment locations that you get to put on your application. So put 6 places that you are truly interested and willing to police at. We will ask you throughout the application process, throughout your local focus interview, why you want to police there. We will ask you your background of, do you have family members? We want to know these things because we're not going to put you somewhere where you do not want to police, because we know a happy employee is a good employee. We want to set you up for success. If you have a family, I see that you have a wife that already has a job, that works in the city. And if you need to stay close to the city, I don't know if you're referring to the GTA or Ottawa or where you're referring to, but let us know. Pick detachments that are around where you currently live, if that's where you're willing to police. We're not going to send you to Thunder Bay if you don't want to go there. So make sure you articulate yourself in an interview and let us know exactly where you want to go and the reasons behind it. If you don't tell us that, then we don't know, and we are assuming that you're willing to go anywhere in the province. Tyler was asking about auxiliary training. Yes, auxiliary training is located in Aurelia. That's where everyone does their training. They all get together. It's a class like a regular recruit class. They learn about use of force. They learn about authorities. They learn about what really the job is, at what you do as an auxiliary officer. So they are sent to Aurelia and they are expected to do that week of training. So Apples is asking about what are the odds of getting assigned to an HSD detachment in the Greater Toronto Area. If that's where you want to police, put those locations down. If you are not planning on going north, don't put northern detachments down just because you think your application will go faster in the process. If you're willing to go north, put northern or detachment locations down. But again, if you want to stay in the GTA, keep those HSD detachments down. Maybe look at some general duties detachments. There's other ones around the GTA as well. The Nottawasaga detachment, Alliston. You've got Caledon. You also have the Wellington area, which has Rockwood and Fergus, Mount Forest. There's many great opportunities in that area as well, which is more of a west region, but it's just off the 401. So there's tons of different detachments that are around the GTA. So just have a look at all of the different detachments that we have and look at a map and decide what works best for you. So Matt says he has his psych test next Monday. Will backgrounds start after psych? Matt, it just depends. If you haven't heard from your background investigator, then they might be waiting for the psych test, and then you'll be doing your psych, or you'll be doing your background after. Sometimes our psych services, they have a backlog. Sometimes they have a big list of people they're trying to get through, so the background might start before psych. It all just depends on that, and if there's background investigators available. Again, don't stress out about that. If you've got your psych next Monday, suggestions for you: get a good sleep the night before, and don't overthink anything. Just whatever you think first, that's the way you should answer it. But get a great night's sleep the night before, because they can be long tests. So somebody's asking about, if they're successful and accepted, how much time prior would you be notified before starting at PPA? That's a great question. So I don't have a real answer for that. The reason is because the OPP gets so many seats at the Ontario Police College, and sometimes we are awarded seats at the last minute, and we will do last minute offers to people. So we try to let everyone know before you would be going to PPA, but sometimes we do get last minute seats, and if somebody's willing to go and we offer them a position, then we will let them know up to a week or a few days before PPA starts. So we try to give you lots of notice, but again, there are some times where you are offered at the last minute. What is the average volunteer experience successful candidates have? You know what, Jackie, to be honest, we want to see that you are committed and that you have been involved in your community. If you just started doing community service over the last few months because you just started your application, we'll note that. But you know what? There's never a wrong time to start volunteering in your community and getting involved in it. So as long as you have some sort of community service, we will look at that. We want to see that you're actively involved in your community. That's the main thing. Lots of chat here about the auxiliary program. I love this. Thank you, Mike, for promoting it. It's a great experience. And yes, you have to be 19, and you also have to have your full G license. As a cadet, you only have to have your G2, but as an auxiliary member, you do have to have your full G license. So somebody's asking about the cutoff date to apply for the January-December intake. Yazin, there's no cutoff time. We're always accepting applications. We need officers. We have large classes, over 100 officers we're sending every 3 months to the Ontario Police College. There's never a cutoff date. My suggestion is always apply at least 5 months before that intake, just to make sure that you meet that date, 5 to 6 months. So right now, or in the next few months, would be a great time to start your application and press submit for that December class, just to make sure that you can make it through the process in time. And we start doing offers after the next class goes to the Provincial Police Academy. So after September 1st, that's when we're going to start building the next class. So it's just a continuous build of classes. And again, get your application in at opphire@opp.ca. So Townsend Fitness, you're asking about beards. So yeah, a lot of our officers, when they go through the Provincial Police Academy, they will shave their beards. Again, I don't know what the exact protocol is now. I know that when I went through, they made you shave everything. And I know that when you get fitted for some of the gas masks, things like that, it is required that you do shave your beard. But again, that's a great question. I don't have an answer to that fully. I know when I went through, they did make everyone shave them. So I'm going to take one more question and then we're going to sign off for the day. Ethan, this is a good one. Is it possible to get hired just out of high school without police foundations? I know the minimum is grade 12, but how likely is it? So Ethan, again, yes, you're correct, 100% correct. Minimum's grade 12. So you've got your diploma from high school. We're going to look at life experience. We're going to look to see if you're your competitive best. We're going to look at all those 10 areas of assessment, which I've continuously talked about and that we have in our REACH program that's online. So have a look at that. If you feel like you are at your competitive best, if you are 18 plus, if you've got your full G license, you've got good experience driving, if you've got some community service, if you are doing well in all the categories, the 10 areas of assessment, then maybe it's a good time to apply now. Again, at 18 years old, sometimes we need a little more life experience, but there are people that do go through our process that are 18, 19, 20, 21. So we do have younger officers getting through than we've seen in the past. So if you feel that you are ready to go, then go ahead. And hi, Ethan from Thessalon. It's nice to see you on here and listening. So I want to thank everyone for joining in today. I appreciate you spending your afternoon, the last 45 minutes with me today. And again, tune in 2 weeks where we will have another topic that we will be discussing. And